Neelam Katara has been fighting for justice for her son Nitish Katara for so many years now. Majid Member, National Secretary, is coming on board tonight as a senior advocate. My first question is to Kiran Bedi. Ms. Bedi, in this particular case, the suicide note by Geetika's mother allegedly talks about pressure to compromise the case. You know, only recently did politicians come out and express full support for him. We had reported that as well, how Gopal Kanda was being supported by politicians. Is it entirely within the realm of possibility, Ms. Kiran Bedi, that the Sharma family was under immense pressure to bury the case?
Arnab, I heard the word called being harassed.
Yeah.
I want to know being harassed means what? Was the harassment continuing? Were there phone calls? Were there visitors? Were there some pressures? And if it was, at what stage? Was it just then, before the mother decided to take her own life, tragically? Or was it earlier? If it was earlier, or not, did brother or husband or she herself report to the police in writing? I think these are very important questions to answer. Yeah. Because if you're going to conclude that Kanda, whether you hate him or you don't like him, the point is, if you are into investigation, then I'm asking questions as an investigator. At what stage did the family report to the police in writing? And if the police was given in writing, then the police is squarely responsible for this mishap, because then otherwise it could have been a preventable suicide, because corrective measures could have been taken, deterrent measures could have been taken, court could have been informed, and this man could have been further isolated and brought under watch while in prison or while in the courts. I think that's the key. Of
course it is. But that, along with the fact, I mean, one is this whole aspect of harassment. And not everybody can, you know, Neelam Katara, I think I remember that Neelam Katara was on Newshour when this incident had happened in August 2012. And I remember there was a particular conversation, Neelam Katara, where there was a member of the family who said, we are going to fight, we are going to fight, we are going to fight. And we asked you, how do you fight? When you fight a politician, how do you fight? And you had presented various options. And at that time, when the issue was before the media, top lawyers also came and said, we'll fight for you. But eventually, so many months have passed, the court has not even framed the charges. That's also part of the problem, isn't it, Neelam Katara? The courts haven't framed the charges, the family is under pressure.
Of course, that's a part of the problem. And I'm sure Dr. Bedi is very well informed, but I'd like to remind her it's not easy for the common man who's lost a child to go. They're so scared and, you know, file a written complaint that they're being harassed in a country where there is no witness protection. They would be scared for their own lives. So it's not that easy to say that when did they go and complain in writing. First, let's have the witness protection laws. Let's have a law which debars politicians from sitting in the Houses of Parliament and in the Legislative Assembly. Only then the common citizen will be free. It's 11 years exactly when on a Vasant Panchami my son left the home, and I am still doing rounds of the courts.
And 11 years later, as you continue to fight, you hear this story, Neelam Katara, that a 23-year-old, not just she but her mother, eventually killed herself. And the court hasn't framed the charges against the politician. How do you feel at a more personal level, if I may ask you? You know, because you, for me, are an embodiment and a symbol of somebody who's been fighting the system alone. How do you feel when you hear about what happened in this case to Geetika and now her mother?
I mean, I can definitely I can absolutely identify with what the mother went through. And some people have been insensitive enough to say that there was a suicidal tendency. I mean, remember Jessica Lal's parents? Yeah. They were both physically fit when this happened, and both of them died during the course of the case. So losing a child is not a small thing. It's simply, you know, it's very, of course, we put up a brave front and we come out and argue and say that we are fighting a case. But you die, a lot of you dies with the child. So it is a very painful situation, and the society, the powers that be. No, but there is nothing like victimology. There are no victim support groups. Our law only says a person is innocent till proved guilty. The entire human rights bandwagon comes to the assistance of someone who is sentenced to death or is given a capital punishment. No one comes out and does hand-holding for the victim's family. So I can absolutely understand what they went through. Of course, we will need to go through the investigations to know whether what the immediate provocation was for committing the suicide.
You see, I'm sorry, I must correct myself. Actually, police frames the charges. You know, that's the point, Kiran Bedi. The police was to have framed the charges here. The Geetika has already faced character assassination. If I'm not mistaken, Kanda's lawyers described her as a hypersensitive girl and a jilted lover who possibly wanted a relationship with Kanda. This was the kind of language that was used about Geetika Sharma. At the moment the case went out of media spotlight, Kiran Bedi, the police also, not only moving at snail's pace, they're not even moving. They're not even moving. There's no framing of the charges either.
Arnab, the framing of the charges is in the hands of the court. The police should be responsible if they are delaying producing witnesses, or the witnesses are not coming due to police fault. Charges to be framed are strictly between the prosecution and the court.
But completely depending upon what the prosecution does. In this case, the prosecution did nothing.
Absolutely. What we really need in the criminal justice system is a reform, even in the manner the prosecution conducts itself, besides expeditious trial. The point in this case is that it is a difficult case. It's an emotional case. It is a defamatory case in a way. It is character assassination case. And after losing one's own daughter to it was tragedy enough. And then facing the trial and what comes in the paper subsequently, and then if she was facing further messages like this, obviously she wasn't able to handle.
Yeah, but it's not the only case.
She is a victim too. While her daughter was a victim, so is she a victim.
It's not.
Being a victim, there is no external support system other than the family.
Yeah, but
if the family is capable of helping her handle the grief, the person can handle. But if the family itself is grieving, then somebody can fall a victim to such a situation.
No,
but the key is, did they report any? And writing is not a big deal, because it's important. After all, they're facing a law case. I'm sure they understand the value of the written word. Did the family at any stage inform the police that they were being harassed?
No, the point I'm making here is that, in these high-profile cases, I'm coming to Majid Memon next. In these high-profile cases, the family is fighting the system. The whole system is arraigned against the family. I remember in the Ruchika Girotra case, the moment it went away from the media spotlight, what did the CBI do? The CBI filed a closure report pertaining to Ruchika's brother, Ashu Girotra's torture and destruction of evidence in the case. Ruchika's father accepted that I am too tired. I am too tired now to continue to fight a legal battle against Rathore. That is what happened. The system has complete amnesia the moment the media spotlight is off, Majid Memon. The family is left alone to fight. Mr. Memon? I'm so sorry, Mr. Memon. I think I had an audio problem at your end. I'm going to come back. I'm just going to come back in a second. But my point there was, I'm coming back to you, that the family is left alone, Neelam Katara. That is what happened in the Ruchika Girotra case.
Absolutely. Definitely, it's a very, very lonely battle, and the family is left alone. And again, it is, you muster up courage and you go ahead, you take a step. And I can imagine in Mr. Girotra's case, it is very frustrating. And definitely the way the system is, I decided a long time back that I just will not look at the calendar or look at the watch. Otherwise, I would not be able to take the frustration. I said, you just have to say, as long as it takes, I'm going to fight it. And it is not easy. It's financially a problem. It takes from your time. It ruins your career.